Morning, girls, and welcome back from your week's break, your half-term break. Although there hasn't really been a term, it's kind of weird, isn't it? But after half-term, I did promise you we'd have a change, and here it is, poetry, and my lovely, lovely poetry. I'm really enjoy it, and I'm going to share some of my favourite poems. What I'm going to do, girls, is put this PowerPoint up for your Show My Homework at the beginning of the week, and then talk you through it. And I'll put this on video for if you want to listen, and if you don't want to listen, you don't have to. And then at the end of the week, I will put it on again onto what's that thing called, YouTube, with the answers. All right, so you can then go through it with how I would want you to approach it. But I want you to enjoy poetry, as I've said here. I hope you enjoy poems as much as I do. And here we go. Right, now you've so far probably been learning to look out for literary techniques, metaphors, similes, personification, alliteration, etc., and noting rhythm and rhyme. But the important thing is that when a poet writes, he's not simply trying to show off his techniques. And although it's very clever of you to notice them, that's not what he's trying to get across. He is trying to say something actually to you in what he's writing. And I read somewhere, and it's really beautiful, that poetry makes you feel. It makes you feel something, and it does for me. It might be anger, it might be joy, happiness, laughter, pity, love, admiration. The list goes on. Grief, a feeling that your soul is touched. That's what you should be feeling, that you're able to see something, perhaps that you've seen many, many times before, as if for the first time. And that is the poet's true aim, I think. Now, all your teachers have given you different ways to approach a poem. I know they have. For me, I was taught at school SIFT, and this is the way I teach in my classes. So when I'm doing it for you during the holidays, this is what we're going to do. Sifting, as you know, is when you shake something through a sieve and you get out the fine, pure grains and leave out the rubbish. And this is very much what we do with a poem. We sift it, so we get those pure grains coming through of what the poet is really trying to say. And that is an acronym. That means those letters each stand for something, which is why it's so easy to remember. There are only 4 of them. And the first one, S-I-F-T, as you can see. And I'm going to put up what each one means. And in my mind, if you've been through and sifted a poem and can answer all these questions, you have really got to grips with the poem. So the first one is sense. What is a poem about? Next one is intention. In fact, what is a poet aiming to say, which may be quite different from the sense. Form, how he says it, looking at, again, your alliteration, your metaphor, your simile, and your tone, how he makes you feel. There it is, all written up for you. What the poet's trying to say might be different from what he actually is writing. So there's a famous poem, Nettles, for instance, where the poet describes how his little boy gets stung by nettles. But in fact, what the poet is trying to say is that parents can't protect their children forever, and there's painful things out there in life. Now, today's poem is Lone Dog, and it's a lovely one I remember doing when I was your age. It's got great rhythm and rhyme in it, which I know many of you feel is the true way a poem should be. So I'll read it through with you quickly now. I'm a lean dog, a keen dog, a wild dog and lone. I'm a rough dog, a tough dog, hunting on my own. I'm a bad dog, a mad dog, teasing silly sheep. I love to sit and bay the moon and keep fat souls from sleep. I'll never be a lap dog, licking dirty feet. A sleek dog, a meek dog, cringing for my meat. Not for me the fireside, the well-filled plate, but shut door and sharp stone and cuff and kick and hate. Not for me, the other dogs running by my side. Some have run a short while, but none of them would bide. Oh, mine is still the lone trail, the hard trail, the best. Wide wind and wild stars, and the hunger of the quest. By Irene McLeod. Now, the first thing with a poem is to find out the sense, and often the sense is in that title, Lone Dog. Lone means all on his own. What kind of dog is described in the poem? Go through that carefully in that whole poem. What do you think he's like? What does he like to do? What does he hate? How is he different from other dogs? And again, why is a poem called Lone Dog? So those questions you can do in your own time. Now, form is very much, the poet's intention and tone is evident when we start to look at the form. And as I say, sifting means going through line by line as you search for the form. And the first thing that I always do is ask the question, is this written in the first person or the third? What is the poet trying to do in this? First person, is he writing as I? And third person is he. And if you think about it clearly, this poem is written I. Why? Does he describe it from the wolf's point of view? The dog, I mean, sorry. Does sound a bit wolf-like, doesn't he? Now, in form, I'm going to pick out certain words. Now, I could go through this poem crazy, enjoying myself, but I'm going to pick out certain words for you. What do you notice about lean, keen, wild, lone, rough, tough, bad, mad? What part of speech are they? That's the first question you can ask. How many syllables do they have? Syllables is counts. So you can count perhaps your name. Sheena is 2 syllables. Monica, my name, is 3 syllables. Joan would be 1 syllable. And do they rhyme? Is there a reason for it? And then perhaps we can talk about the repetition of why those are there. If you were looking on at the poem, you can look at other lovely words. Silly sheep, describing how he thinks the sheep are, and fat souls, and what does he think about the people who are asleep. I think, remember, a poem should be read aloud, even if you only read it in your head. You might be in an exam room, you might be in a quiet library or something, where reading it aloud would be a bit embarrassing, but we can all hear a poem by reading it aloud in our head. The why. Why does he use those? Be creative. Why do you think the dog is lean? Why is he keen? Why is he rough and tough? Why is he bad? Why is he considered mad? Is he mad? Is he wild? Is he lone? How does he feel about being those things? Now, what words does he describe the pets at home? Now, look at these words. We've already had a lap dog licking dirty feet. Think about what technique are being used with lap, lick, dirty feet. Dirty. Why does he put in licking dirty feet? Why not leave it licking feet? Or licking clean feet? Why dirty? Sleek dog, a meat dog, cringing for my meat. Why does he describe those dogs in those words? What can we learn of his attitude to the dogs? Cringing. Do you know what cringing means? If you don't look it up, it's such a brilliant word. Not for me the fireside, the well-filled plate, but shut door and sharp stone and cuff and kick and hate. Now, why are we surprised he doesn't like these lap dogs? And what is the effect in the last line of and sharp stone and cuff and kick and hate? What do you remember we did on the Marvels and Romance piece? Look at shut, sharp, cuff, kick. Cuff and kick are monosyllabic, but they also are plosives. Plosives means the ka, bursts in your mouth. Cuff and kick. And the effect of that is to sound a bit like he has been cuffed or kicked. And again, if you don't know what cuff means, look it up. Brilliant word. Shut, sharp. Why those? Why the sh? Sounds a bit like a door being shut in your face, doesn't it? Why does he put those in? What is the effect of that? Why are we surprised, therefore, that he doesn't want to be a lapdog? And then the last one, not for me, the other dogs. Now, what fact is emphasizing in the last stanza? In the last stanza, he's saying, not for me, the other dogs running by my side. Some have run a short while, none of them would bide. How do you think he's feeling about that? How do you think he's feeling about the fact that the other dogs ran by his side for a bit but didn't stay? None of them would bide. Why do you think they wouldn't bide? Bide means stay. Oh, mine is a lone trail, the hard trail, the best. Wide wind and wild stars and the hunger of the quest. Now, I have picked out those words, wide wind and wild stars. I think they're important because we've seen some pictures of a really hard life. Mine is still the lone trail. Would you like to be on a lone trail, a hard trail? And yet he calls it the best trail. And he needs to explain why. So we've got those words in red. Wide wind, wild stars. What do you notice about what techniques are being used there? How does the dog feel about the outdoors? And what is emphasized by, oh, mine is still the lone trail. Why does he emphasize, oh, mine? For me, the key to this poem and understanding why the dog is as he is written and hidden in that last stanza. He explains his feelings about the other dogs and about the life he has chosen. And if you can understand that stanza, you've unlocked the key to the poem. And to do that, you must look at the words and the choice of the words. What about the hunger? Hunger of the quest. Look up quest if you don't know it. Right? And the form is structure. That's the last thing I'm going to ask you about. Does the poem rhyme? I think you can answer that straight away. And what does this give the poem? It's a clue. I think that a poet chooses to make this poem rhyme. She might equally have chosen to make it not rhyme. Many beautiful poems don't rhyme. But this one she has given a rhyme to. Why do you think? Why is it? Oh, excuse me. And then intention and tone. This is the question which will really get you into the high level of understanding. It's about seeing beyond the dog. We've done all this analysis and you might well have an idea of what the poet felt about the dog and how she wants us to feel about it. How do you feel about that lone dog now? Do you understand the lone dog? And what would you understand by it? And this is the key one about carrying on the message. Possibly, this is a difficult one, to make it universal. Universal means, can it apply to life for us as humans as well? Can you put that poem as a human? Can you change that dog into a human being? What does it say to you? Right, I think that's finished. I'm just going to click over. Yeah, it is. So, girls, if you could please go back and have a crack at that, and I will give you my feedback later in the end of the week. Whoa, sorry. Okay, take care. Lots of love. Bye.